Part 2 were after Developments Part 1 and Developments Part 2, so it uploaded, in the sequence of Developments Part 1, then End Times Part 1, End Times Part 2, but you needed to go to Developments Part 2, obviously, after Part 1, and probably most people figure that out, but it's a good case for taking the time and going through it and numbering the blasted things so you can make sense of them, and I will try to do that someday. Okay. Negotiations, Part 1. Oh boy. And there's 3 parts to this, at least I know, because I've already read them. So I don't have to read them tonight. Good night. See you later. Bye. Oh, okay, stop it. Stop funning with everybody. John pedaled up to the gate in front of the house and dismounted, his knee giving him a sharp twinge in spite of the elastic brace he wore around it. Miguel stood up from where he'd been picking lettuce in his garden and yelled across the fence, "Good morning, John. What brings you around today? Do you need the posse?" Stepping through the gate, he met the deputy and shook hands. "No, thankfully," John said. "Not this morning. I'm here on personal business this time." A curious look came over the man's face. "Well then, my friend, what can I do for you this cool October morning?" John came right to the point. "Miguel, I want to rent your flatbed truck." A reserved look came over the store owner's features. "Ah, then, why don't we go into the kitchen and have a cup of coffee and we can discuss it?" The men stepped through the gate and went around the house and entered through the kitchen door. The host poured 2 cups of strong Cuban coffee and set them on the table. "You're quite welcome to use the truck, John, but do you have the fuel to run it? I've heard that some of the county people are getting a fuel ration, so perhaps you are getting some of it?" John shook his head. "I'm supposed to get a fuel ration, but it hasn't shown up yet, and I have pressing business that won't wait. That's why I'm here." Concern showed on Miguel's face when he said, "But the fuel, how will you run the truck?" John sighed and said, "Come on, Miguel, I know good and well you've been holding a lot more fuel than you let on about. Even acting as deputy, I have to take cricket when I need to be somewhere, but you've always been quite obliging about using your truck when we've needed it. Anyone as short on fuel as the rest of us would have to be a lot more particular." In a guarded tone, Miguel replied, "This is so, but as a businessman and member of the community, I feel I have a public duty to assist in any way that I can in keeping law and order in our town. I have a lot to lose if we can't keep the bad ones under control. This should not make me a figure of suspicion in anyone's eyes." John grinned. "Miguel, I don't suspect you of anything other than having more fuel than you've let on about. It's your juice. I'm not asking you to give it to me. I'm quite willing to work out a deal with you. But you know that the county and the Recovery Command have requisitioned all fuel supplies from dealers and distributors. If they were to become suspicious that I had not been fully truthful with them, they might make trouble for me. I do not wish to jeopardize my family, even if it means not being able to help a friend." Nothing was said for a moment, and the silence gelled the air. Finally, John said, "Okay, I can see your point. You're too great an asset to the community in emergencies to risk bringing the logistics cops down on you. How about I do this? You've got the flatbed truck parked inside your barn, so no one will see you. Put about half a tank of diesel in the truck. That's more than I'll probably need. I'll go home and get one of the yellow diesel cans I use for the tractor and lash it to the back of the bike and ride back up here with it, where everyone can see me. And I'll make a show of emptying the can into the truck tank so that it will be seen that I put the fuel in the truck, which should divert any suspicion from you. Would that make you comfortable?" Miguel considered the proposition for a moment. "I suppose you'll be able to make it look convincing enough. Okay, I accept your proposition. Now, about the deal. We've got cash. How much do you want?" The businessman shook his head. "For this deal, it is best we do not deal in dollars. I cannot buy more fuel with dollars, and besides, there is a strong rumor that the government will recall all old money and issue new currency at a steep exchange rate. For the fuel you must have to run the truck, we must talk precious metal or barter." John quirked an eyebrow. "Are you sure about this currency recall? That's going to hurt. What's the exchange ratio going to be?" The other man shrugged and spread his hands. "I do not know. I don't even know for sure that it will happen, but I hear this rumor again and again. One man who works in the recovery HQ in Gainesville I have done some favors for, and he is quite certain, but he cannot say when or what the exchange ratio will be other than very unfavorable. It's supposed to have something to do with the government trying to reopen the banks. The deputy ran his fingers through his hair. If it ain't one damn thing, it's another. If they revalue the currency to get the banks open, they'll have to revalue the dollar amount of the outstanding mortgages and other loans. At least I'd think they would. They couldn't possibly expect us to pay off mortgages or whatever valued in old dollars with new dollars that are worth many times more. Again, Miguel shrugged and said, "My friend, I do not know. I do not know if it will happen at all, just that I hear many rumors about it, and it is for this reason. I do not wish to deal in dollars for fuel." What did you have in mind to trade? The two men discussed the situation back and forth for many minutes, and until at least they settled on $5 silver and a brick of Winchester Super X 22 ammunition and a few dozen eggs as a sweetener. John felt it was a steep price to pay relative to the value of the fuel, the silver and ammunition before the impact. The fuel, the silver, and the ammunition before the impact, but there was no other place to go. Miguel couldn't legally get any more fuel and was not even supposed to have as much as he did now, but John wasn't foolish enough to lean on him that way and lose a resource that was much more valuable than a half tank of diesel fuel. They shook hands, and John said he'd bring payment back with him when he returned. As he walked out the gate and unchained his bike, he muttered to himself, "It's another round trip on this damn bike, but I suppose it can't be helped. With 40 pounds of water in that can on the back of the bike, it's going to be a hard ride back, too." He sighed, got off his bike, and rode off. Good night.